Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Crafty Chris's Scrap Your Scraps. Tonight we are going to use up some of these pocket page doodads. So you'll either have pulled out a sheet of cut-aparts from a kit that you didn't use the cut-aparts on, or you'll have pulled your pocket page inserts out. That's what these are. These are a group of pocket page inserts that I never ended up using in a pocket page. So I'm going to use them on a 2-page layout today. So we are starting with white paper, and the only reason I'm using white paper is it's cheap. You can get it fairly cheaply. And I'm going to put this on my page so I can just kind of get a sense of what 12 by 12 is. And then we're going to play around with the actual mats on the page. So my mats have a number of different things. So there's some that have journaling on them, some that have sayings on them. So I am not using them necessarily for the sayings that occur on them. I am using them for the background, and then a photo will be placed on them. So first of all, there are a couple that I am using for statement pieces. So let me find that. So I have a bunch of these. And so I like this, but I like it up in this corner. Don't ask me why, I just do. And this is going to end up having a photo on it. So that's going to go right in the corner, right matted flat. And then I have December 25th, this one here. I want it kind of to be at the end of my page because I'm looking at this as being my layout for December 25th, or at least my introduction pages for December 25th, because we all know that likely we'll have more than one page layout for that. This is going to be a mat, so I'm just going to mat something in there likely. This is also going to be a mat, so I'm putting my 4x6 pieces in the corners. I wanted to mix up things a little bit, so we're going to have that is going to be a mat, and that is going to be a mat. Now I may change these around when I see the colors, because there's 3 main colors in this, and it's blue, beige, or blue craft, and red with a little bit of green. Likely I will keep that sentiment and that sentiment, so I may switch this out actually, because that's going to be a picture. Actually, I'm just thinking I might switch this out right now, because these two are going to be actual photo mats. This is going to be a photo mat. It kind of coordinates with the yellow that's going on in there. And then this will be a photo mat. I think I'll have the bar on that side so it's not too close to this side. So literally, I'm just laying these things out. Now, I want to spread the color around. So these are double-sided. You can go horizontally, or you can go vertically. So I'm choosing them to go horizontally because that's how they're going to fit into my page. This has a statement on it, so I kind of want that statement to not be surrounded by stuff that is too active. I kind of like how these flowers coordinate, so I think I'm going to put those in here, and I'm going to drop a Noel in there, and I'm going to use that for what it says. Need a little bit of solid red over here, so this is going to be a frame. And I like the Joy to the World down here. And literally this is, you just pick and choose. So I'm going to put my snowflake up there and have a photo in here. And then I'm going to use that for a photo as well. Now, technically speaking, like this would be my layout. Obviously, I'm going to throw in some little bits of ephemera and stuff just to bring it together, maybe some ribbon, whatever. But this is the basic layout of what I plan to do for this 2-page. Did I mention that it is July? Therefore, you know, we always have Christmas in July, and that's why I've decided to do a Christmas layout. You may be wondering why that is. Okay, so now what I want to do, as always, I'm going to take a picture of this just so that I can see it. And if I need to refer to the picture, I have the picture here for me to use. And of course, we're going to switch that around. There we go. And I'm going to edit it just quickly. And apply. And there's my picture, so I have it available. So for now, I'm going to turn it off. Now, these are all corner rounded, so if you're cutting from a cut apart sheet, like a 12 by 12 sheet, you want to cut them and then quarter round them afterwards. They just kind of look a little neat, a little more funky. I am not sure, but I like the cleanness of this. My first thought was to do some distressing with kind of a crafty colored ink, like a cocoa or a desert sand or a chocolate or something like that. But I kind of like how clear everything is, the clarity of this. And I'm afraid that if I do the edging around, it will make each unit more pronounced, and I kind of want to have this overall sort of look. So this is where I'm going to stick with this. Now, I need to get my photo backgrounds, which are in a pile somewhere, because I've been using them a lot lately. Now, photo backgrounds, where are you? So as you can tell, again, messy, messy, messy desk. I cannot locate them. There they are. Found them. Always got projects on the go. Okay, so I'm thinking these are 4 by 6. I know that my 4 by 6 are going to cover it over, but I basically am looking to create, I'm going to do mats that will fit into the things that I'm trying to cover and just leave a 1/4 of an inch around, and then my photos themselves are going to be slightly smaller than that so that there is like enough space for you to see everything. So that's one, and I'll walk you through that right now. So I'm going to use a less expensive piece of paper. So inside some of my page protectors, I often get a piece of paper, and it's not necessarily expensive paper. So it's good to use as backgrounds, like mats. So here is some paper that was originally in a paper pack, but the back sides are beautiful white. And because I'm only going to see a 1/16 of an inch around my photo, I figured that they're good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide how many of each size I need. So I'm looking at this one. I'm going to leave that one. This one I'm not, but I want to get a nice 1/4 inch or 3/16 of an inch. Well, let's say 1/8 is too small. Let's say 3/16, so that's 6/16 of an inch I'll need. So my first, let's write this down so that we don't get this all messed up. So these cuts that I'm going to cover, I want 3/16 on both sides. So the width is 4 inches, and I want 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I want it to be 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. 3 and 5/8 should be a good border. So that puts me there and there. So if I do 3 and 5/8, that's 3 and 5/8. It's not really that much. This is just, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I think I'll just make it a quarter. Okay, so I want 3.5 inches. So these mats are going to be 3.5 by 5.5. And how many of these am I going to want? Times covering this one. I don't know that I'll do a full coverage on that one. This one, yes. This one, yes. So 1, 2, 3. So I need 3, 3.5 by 5.5. This one, I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do, I'm just eyeballing this. So 3.5. I think I'm going to do 3.5 by 3.5 on that one. So 3.5. Oh, maybe not, by 4.5. 4.5. And I'm going to do that on this one and this one. So photo here, photo here, photo here, photo here, photo here. So that's times 2. And then this one is going to have a long skinny photo. It's going to butt right up. I'm going to have that 1/4 inch from the edge. So this is going to be 3 by 5.5 by 5.5. Now this one I'm putting a note beside because I may not like it at 5.5. I'm going to have to see how that lays out. It might look awkward. And then, so let's just do the big ones first. So I am going to cut 3 pieces, 3.5 inches by 5.5 inches of the white, 2 pieces, 3.5 inches by 4.5 inches of the white, and 1 piece, 3 inches by 5.5 inches. And that is what we're going to do first. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back with my cuts. So the first cut was 3.5 by 5.5, and I had 3 of those, and one of them was going to go in this corner. And of course it is determined by your particular papers that you choose. So one is going to go there, one is going to go here, and one is going to go here. Alrighty, and then the next cut was 3.5 by 4.5, and I wanted 2 of those, and I wanted them in these more decorative ones so you could see more of the border. Okay, here and here. And then for this one we cut a 3 inch by 5.5 inch, and I'm going to butt it right up to the edge. of the border so that there's an even 1/4 inch all the way around. So that's our larger. We're keeping this as is, we're keeping this as is. Now we got to look at these other pieces. So I have this piece and this piece that are most of the width of the photo. So what I want to do is I'm going to take that interior measurement, thinking in terms of 1/4 inch as my boundary. Now these are just slightly under 4, so I'm going to kind of even it out. So I am going to say that I need 3.5 by, it's just under 2, 3.5 by 2.5, and I'm going to write that down. We've done these ones. So 3.5, whoops, by 2.5, and I've got 2 of those. And then I have these ones that are slightly cut differently. So I want to have it so that it's in the largest section, and I can use that for journaling if I choose to. And I'm going to have it butt right up to the picture with 1/4 inch. So this looks like 2.5 by 2.5 by 1.5. So these ones are going to be 2.5 by 1.5. You know what? I think I'll make this one 2.5 by 1.5 and just have 1. So 1.5 by 2.5 times 1. And then this one, these are all going to be custom photos. This one is going to definitely be 2.5 by 2.5 by 2.5 it looks, yeah. 2.5 by 2.5 for this one. So, and that's times 1, so 2.5 by 2.5 by 1. Okay, so the next cut's out of my white paper, which there should be nothing left. So my second piece, I'm going to do 3.5 by 2.5, and I'm going to do 2 of them. 1.5 by 2.5, and I'm going to do 1 of those, and then 2.5 by 2.5, and I'm going to do 1 of those. So I'm going to make those cuts, and I'll come back shortly. Okay, so I have my pieces here that I've cut, and I can already tell you that this is not going to work for me. I don't like a photo that looks like that. So in my instructions, I will make sure to have you avoid that. So this one here is 2.5 by 2.5, and it's going to fit right in there. And it's white on white, so I may just have that as a placeholder so I know that that's the size of the photo. If it's white on white, it doesn't really make sense to kind of have a photo there. Now these two are 2.5 by 3.5. One is going to go here, and that works well for me. And the other is going to go here. And I don't mind that it's white on white because you're going to, you know what? This is going to be a placeholder too. Because again, you don't really need to have the background on that. So we'll leave that as a placeholder. Now here is our problem. So that was our original piece. Don't like it at all. doesn't work for me. So now that I have it, I can get an eyeball of how I really want to see it. So where's my ruler? There we go. So this should have been really 2.5 by 2. So I happen to have a ton of paper left over. And I'm just going to check. I have a piece from an offcut, which is already 2. And now I'm just going to trim that up quickly and make that a 2.5. And that's going to satisfy me a little more in terms of the kind of photo that I want to put there. There we go. It makes me happier. So now I can put some small details about that photo. So there's all the photos laid out. Now we just got to start sticking things down. And right on the mat is what I'm going to write, the actual dimensions of the picture, not the mat. So this one I'm going to write on it the actual dimensions of the mat, and I'm going to put placeholder because we're just going to put a photo there without a mat. This one I'm just going to put the actual dimensions of the mat, and I'm going to write placeholder because we are not going to have a mat for that one. The rest of them are going to have the dimensions of the folder. So I'm going to put place, whatever the dimensions are, right on the front. So we know that those are, and we're going to stick those guys down permanently. All right, so let's start with one page at a time. I'll do one page with you and then we'll switch over. I'll do the second page on my own while you're working on your pages. So I'm just going to shift everything a little bit and get my adhesive out. And because this isn't going to be heavy stuff, you don't have to put a ton of adhesive. I just usually put 9 little pieces on the largest size of mat. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little doohickey right there. I don't like those. They're part and parcel of the cutting of the, when you're doing your own cutting of your cut-aparts, you don't get them because you're cutting them right then and there. But these are the things that kind of hold all the things together when they are cutting them, and I don't like them. So I'm just going to quickly trim them off as I see them, and any imperfections that I see, because I'm anal that way. And now I'm going to line this up with the edges of my paper and just place it down. And then the next one is going to be the same. So I'm going to trim it first before I get my adhesive on it. You don't need to see me trimming, but I guess I can do it on camera. It's a little hard for me because I can't see the lines. There we go. This one is less noticeable because it happens to be dark. And we'll put our 3 little bits down. Make sure we don't have any of the tape running over. And that should just butt right up to the edge of your paper. And hopefully your paper is square. And mine does not seem to be exact. That's interesting. So did I go over up there? So I'm just going to adjust a little bit because it appears that the paper is not exactly square. There we go. Okay. Now, I have a mat for this one, which I'm going to stick on there as soon as I find it in my mess of mats. Oh, here it is over here. Right. I'm not rounding the corners. I'm just going to stick it right on the paper. And I'm going to try to eyeball align it. We're looking for kind of an evenness all the way around. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to write in pencil on this that my photograph is going to be 3 1/4 inches. So 3 1/4 times, so this was 5 1/2. All right. So I'm going to move that in 1/8. So it's 5 3/8. Does that make sense? 5 3/8. No, it doesn't. Haha! It's 5 1/4, not 5 3/8. Thought that didn't sound right. 5 1/4 inch photo. Okay, so that's what's got to go there. Now we're going to hook up to this, our next piece, which is our Joy to the World piece. And we're keeping this as is. Probably don't need that much glue or adhesive. And I'm going to run that right against the edge of the paper at the bottom and the edge of that mat. And then above that we have this guy, and this is just going to be a placeholder. So first I'm going to stick this one down. I don't need that much paper, that glue or adhesive that I put on last time, and we're going to line these up. There we go. Now this placeholder that's going to go there, I'm writing placeholder, and this photo is going to be 3 1/2 by 2 1/2. Photo. And I'm going to stick it down with my handy dandy, and I don't have any extra lying around, my handy dandy repositionable tape, because we don't want it there permanent. Alrighty. So that's our placeholder, and it doesn't matter if it's accurately positioned at the moment because we're going to be taking that off. Then above that we want Noel, and I didn't trim off the little doodads on this. My OCD is kicking in. Okay, we're going to ignore it. We have to ignore it, Chris. All right. So Noel is going to go right in here, butt it up right to there. Now I'm immediately seeing an issue. So I'm just not going to put that down heavily yet. I'm going to stick this guy up at the top because I think I've got some shifting around to do because these aren't exactly the right measurements. Appears they're slightly under what you would expect for a 3x4 card. And we're going to line up this with the paper. There we go. Yes, we have a little bit of leeway right in there. So I'm going to shift this down. So there's about an eighth of an inch there, and I'm going to shift this up so there's about an 1/8 of an inch in between. And I don't mind these two pieces touching because they're kind of like at a natural break. where other pieces are touching. There we go. So we got a little break in here. And a little break in there. If we keep it consistent, we'll be fine. And then we're going to pop this little piece in there. And I'm going to make that a placeholder because we need the full size. It's too small already. So we're going to call this a placeholder. And this is going to be 2 by 2.5. Photo. All right, and we just need really one piece of tape for that one because it's small. And there we go. Okay, moving right along. Is that going to fit in there? Beautiful. Okay. So we are going to have, we're having it going vertical because we want these bows to be going horizontal. And we're going to pop that in, line that up with the top. And the side. There we go. And then this we're going to place in there permanently. And we're going to center that one. There we go. And this is going to say 3 1/4 by 5 1/4 photo. All right. And now we're going to do the same here. All right. I'm going to line that up. There we go. Just a tiny little bit. There we go. Beautiful. Look at how pretty that page is looking already. This is crooked, so it is making me a little bit crazy. All right, and now this one is our smaller photo, but it is going horizontal. This is, we want it to be centered because we're keeping everything centered. So if we look at this, keep the 1/4 inch at the side. There we go. And this is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 inch photo. All right. Okay, so that's one side done. And now I am going to do the second side while you do your second side, and I'll see you shortly. Okay, so I finished the 2 pages and everything's laid out and marked as to where the photos are going. Now it's time to do a little bit of fanciness. So one of the things I'm going to do is use some Stickles and some pearls and some Wink of Stella to jazz this up. The Stickles that I'm using with this color combination is called Garland, and it's a combination of gold and I guess it's a couple of different colors of gold and a couple of different colors of red. For sparkle. The other thing that I have here, and I'm keeping my bottles upside down, the other thing I have is liquid pearls in ruby red, to go with this combination. And I'm using the clear Wink of Stella pen, excuse me. And this is liquid glass by DecoArt, but there's a bunch of different liquid glasses that you can buy out there. And it's just a clear liquid that goes and gives you some dimension. So one of the things I want to start with is obvious stuff. So in some of the colored backgrounds, I have these little red berries that pre-exist. So I want to do a combination of things. I want to have some of the red berries in my pearl and some of the red berries in my garland. So I'm going to start with the red berries on these two things in the pearl because they're small. And I literally am just going over the dots with my pearls. And I'll show that to you when I've got it all done. So just giving little taps of my pearls on that, and then again over here, a little bit larger taps. Actually, there's a number of different sizes here. So no bigger than the circle that's existing. Just to give it some depth. And liquid pearls are not self-leveling, so I'm going to tap it just to bring them down a little bit once I get them all on. Okay, so I'm just going to go underneath where I've got my liquid pearls and just tap them a little, and then it just gives you a little bit of shine and a little bit of 3-dimension. And I'll do the same over here. A little bit of shine and a little bit of dimension. Okay, so that's where I'm beginning. Now I've got some red dots here, which I think I'm going to bring in some of the garland, a little bit of sparkle, and I'm trying to think here where I can add the sparkle to kind of balance it off. So I think on these berries on this, I'm going to add the sparkle, and on here I'm going to add the sparkle. So I'm just going to move one page out of the way and do one page at a time because I don't want to get my elbows into everything. And you want to make sure you do a little bit of a test run and make sure that your stuff is coming out before you begin. So again, I'm just tapping. And this isn't going to cover with color, it's just going to cover with sparkle because there's no color in the background of it like there is with the pearls. And some of the other stickles have some background color, but this one doesn't. It's a clear background. So it's just adding sparkle. And try not to rub my elbow in it. And the thing that's different between Stickles and pearls, liquid pearls, is liquid pearls has some depth to it, whereas Stickles dries flat. And you won't get any depth in Stickles, you'll just see the flat glitter. Unless you put the epoxy on top. Okay, so that's that one. I'm going to put that aside for a minute. Bring this one in. And now I'm going to do the little It's tricky to get sometimes to get the Stickles to stay in place because it's a bit glue-like, and so sometimes it drags over or gets thick. So you just want to tap it down Make sure that it really stays in one place and you're not dragging it to the next circle. And this really doesn't show up its true nature until it's dry. Then you can see what it really does look like. And it doesn't, like I said, it never goes three-dimensional, so it doesn't even matter how much you put on. You'll never, even though it looks when it's wet like it goes three-dimensional, it will dry completely flat. So you really want to keep that in mind. If you want dimension, you're going to, when it's dry, have to add some clear liquid glass. All right, there we go. So from this perspective, you can see that there is sparkly happening, but like I said, you won't see the full effect until it's dry. Alrighty, now I want to add just some shimmer in some places. So the shimmer I'm using is the Wink of Stella. And I'm going to go over these letters. Now, Wink of Stella has a brush tip. Two things about it is that you want to first make sure that the lid is on and you shake it up really well. Okay. Then you also want to make sure that there is actually ink in the barrel. You can tell if there is or isn't based on what you see in the barrel. It'll be empty or it'll have some ink in it. If it has ink in the barrel, it should be fine to go ahead and start to color. And so I'm going to do it this way. And I'm just literally taking the tip and going over top of the words, or the letters rather. And it doesn't really matter if it's exactly on, because this again has very little color to it. Just want to get as close to the lines as possible so the effect has more impact, because if you're too far away from what it is you're trying to sparkle, it won't make sense. Or if you're over top of the line too much, drawing outside the lines too much, it will look a little messy. So I've just done Eve there, and you can see how it gives a shininess to it. So I'm going to continue doing this, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so there I have covered everything except the December 24th with sparkle. And I think I'll just do the line. I'm not going to do the December 24th because it's way too small for my hand to actually be able to do. So I'm not even going to attempt it. So now there are some red berries here that I'm just going to use my clear liquid glass on, just to give it some depth. And again, just little tiny dots. And I've been using this recently, but you should always test it on a scrap piece of paper to make sure that it's ready to go. I knew it was because I had used it earlier. And I'm also going to do these little flowers. And I'm just basically doing little circles, little dots all the way around the flower. Now it's not going to be exact, but it's going to be close enough that you will see a three-dimensional flower there. And this is just to create some texture and some glitter and reflection on your page without actually putting any three-dimensional stickers or anything like that. And that's kind of why I like these pages. Every once in a while I like to have just a bit of a break from, you know, my rolled flowers and my multi-embellishment pages. It's kind of nice just to have some plainness to it. So you can see the clear dots on this page here. Gives a little bit of dimension. And then my little flowers also are dotted. Now in the center of these guys, I think I want to put some glitter. Or no, maybe I'll go for the pearls because it's too close to the other glitter. It's another thing to consider. There we go. And either have things on your work table on their side or upside down to keep them keep them charged, ready to use. And let's see, and you know what? I'm going to finish this page off with some Wink of Stella on here. See how quickly it goes on? You're just actually coloring in the snowflake here in this case. And I'm pretty quick at it. I do it a lot, so it's a little bit easier than when it's your first time. However, I don't really worry about everything being perfect. That's what handmade's all about, right? Otherwise, why not just buy a glitter sticker? This way, it's all been done by hand, which makes it far more special. And you can tell your family that too. That's all done by hand. And everybody oohs and ahs and you feel good. All right, so there's the glittery snowflake. And I just want to make sure everything kind of looks a little balanced. I haven't got anything on here or here, which is fine. I could put some clear on those, and maybe the centers of the flowers I could do some clear. And then maybe the centers of some of those flowers, because this is a little light down here too. Well, let's do the snowflakes over here anyway, to start. And just a little bit out at a time. If you know that your mat is going to stay there permanently, then you can go and butt this right up to your mat. If it isn't, then you don't want to make sure it touches the mat, because otherwise it'll glue it together. This piece I know is going to stay touching the mat. There we go. And turn this around here. I just want to do the centers of the flowers. Very little bit. Balance this out just a little bit. And there we go. And I'm going to do the centers of these flowers as well. And because there isn't one piece alike on this page, It's kind of fun to play around with this way of decorating because it's kind of irregular as opposed to balanced. I can hear my dog playing with a ball, running back and forth playing with a ball upstairs. Oh, and a squeak. Somebody's getting very excited. Okay, and that's it for this side. I'm going to wait till those dry and then I'll probably cap them with the clear. But let me just show you so now the snowflakes have some dimension to them. The centers of the flowers have some dimension to them. And the centers of these flowers, it's much smaller, but you can see there's some dimension to them as well. So I'm going to finish up this side and then we're done. Alrighty, this side is a little different. We have the pearl here, we have the glaze there. I would like to do world. I'm going to do with the Wink of Stella pen, and I'm just drawing it down, following the line. The nice thing about this is having a brush tip, you can really get it nice and thin. And you don't want to press too hard, you're just going lightly, drawing the tip of the paintbrush down. If you press too hard, you'll get it too thick. Circles are a little trickier. So you want to just kind of take them in short little spurts. And there we go. Almost done. And you can kind of see the change in color. Like when it's wet, it goes a little bit darker red, so you know where you've actually put it on without having to change your position and look for the glitter. So it's easy to use that way. Alrighty. And I'm just going to leave Joy to the on its own. So there we go. We have the Joy to the World, and World is sparkly, and we have the original pearls. Now, I like these circles. I am tempted to do them in a color, but I'm afraid I won't like it afterwards. So I think I'm going to keep it clear dots. So this is where I can get some nice depth. I'm going to make sure they're nice and round. And the best way to make sure they're round is not to actually touch the paper. You're just hovering over it and you're dropping it onto the circle. Again, we're going to do some tapping underneath to make sure we don't end up with any peaks. And sometimes I just jiggle it a little bit to force it into its spot. Okay, now I'm gonna, there we go. And look at the depths on that now. Cool, right? I'm glad I didn't color it. Yes! It's good to make a decision and be happy with it. Now here we have some berries and we have some dots there. I have clear there, I have glitter there. I think I'm just going to do clear. No, I think I don't know what to do. I'm going to do clear here. Just on the reds. It is very quick to do. I know you're watching me. Like a kettle. Watching a kettle. Okay, that's done. Now, down here, okay, I am going to put some, just on these little dots, I'm going to put some of the pearl. Okay, and I'm going to flick that at the top and bottom. So you can see the texture there and the texture there. All right. I haven't done my Wink of Stella on this side except for that. And I think I'll do these in clear. Seems like a very clear side. It does take patience to do this and to watch it. Okay, and you know what? Since these guys are showing, actually, I lied. I'm going to take that off. Don't want that there. Because on the other side, I filled that with pearl. Same snowflake, more or less. There we go. Alrighty. So I'm going to hold this very carefully. There we go. Okay, now I'm liking everything so far. These guys are dry, so now I can actually give them some shape with clear. So these are flat, and now I'm giving them their ball shape. There we go. So now this has both glitter and 3D effect. So be careful not to lean on wet stuff. Okay. And then just Noel. And Noel, I am going to put clear dot here and a clear dot there. And I think I'm just going to leave this guy alone. Alrighty. There we go. And Wink of Stella I'm going to put on there. And then we're done. Okay, so what is going to be the easiest way? I think leaning, ooh, disaster. So leaning on here, making sure I'm not touching anything. I'm going to go back and forth. Now when you're doing large spaces with the Wink of Stella, you want to do it twice. Because going in one direction, you'll get sort of all the glitter going in one direction, but you want to have it really in two directions so that it looks flat. Alright, there's nothing here, so I can probably go across here. Excuse me. All right. So that is one coat. Now we're going to go back in and do the second coat. This time we're going to go up and down. Okay, so this might mean I need something to lean on. Is that going to work? Make sure I don't mess anything up. All right. And this is what I have my hand leaning on here. is just my holder for my tape runner, my grand tape runner. There we go. And I just have the L to do. And it's a little trickier. Gotta make sure I don't touch anything. There we go. Oh, that's not gonna work. There we go. All right. There we go. Done. Uh-oh. Something happened here. Luckily it happened inside. Except. Alright, so we got a bit of a boo-boo there. It's time for a fix. Alright, so I need to have, it's always handy to keep one of these Sharpie, the big Sharpies in stock, or in your stock, and it's a white. So, because this is right on the edge, I have to cover that boo-boo, and if I wanted to, I could just go over and cover all this as well. Now sometimes you can get it in one coat, sometimes you have to do it in two. But this is exactly what you need to do when you've run into a problem where you've made a mistake and something's gone into another area. Now this is one I muffed up on, so I got to correct that because now it's all mushed. And there we go. Everything's back to normal. Alrighty, so now let's see our finished two pages together. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Alright. This one goes this way. Now mind you, the clear, what do you call it? The liquid glass will still be a little foggy until I'm going to move it up a tad. Try and get the shadows out of the way there so you can see everything. Oops, this is supposed to be over here. No, I don't want to get things touching each other. Okay, that's that side. This is this side. And this is our finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 photo 2-page layout using your pocket cards or cut-up arts. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was great to see you again, and we'll see you next Thursday. Bye.